Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Chapter 8. Culmination of human life. He started the analysis with what is life and what is the direction in which your life is moving. And in that, what is the principle? What is a code? And if you follow that code, which he has given in the 3 layers of your personality: action, emotion, thinking. When you follow that, finally that culminates into what is what the discussion now. There he is analyzing what is the role of religion. In this entire picture, where is religion fitting in? And now what you need to remember is, first, register the meaning of the word religion. Unless you are clear about that word religion, you cannot continue the study. And there is a tremendous amount of misunderstanding we have today in the world with reference to this word religion. At a point where most of us started thinking that word religion is a bad word. Nothing wrong with the word religion, please. It is your wrong understanding of that word, religion. So first thing he clarifies is that he says, in the role of religion, first recognize what is the meaning of the word religion. Etymologically, religion is derived from 2 Latin terms. Re plus ligare. Re means back. Ligare means unite. So religion means the process, the method, technique, anything that you do to unite back from wherever you have been separated. Uniting back presupposes the condition, that is, you are separated. Then we start the process, inquiry into what is, from where you have been separated, from what you are separated. And that's what the role of religion is. The role of religion is to help you to get back to your own self, from which you are separated right now. That's called religion. Now, why you have to know this? What is this? Is what he is going to explain now. That's what the study is. Now, religion, when it comes, it's a very basis is a mysterious process through which you employ the mind and intellect to trace back its origin, and in the process of tracing back, the mind and intellect itself dissolves, and which we can never understand what is it, because all that we are capable of experiencing in the world, we transact only using these 3 equipments. Body, through body, we perceive and act. Through mind, experience various emotions. Through intellect, we experience thoughts. So, This body, mind, and intellect helps us to go through the experiences such as perceptions, emotions, and knowledge. But religion is the process through which we are tracing back our steps to the origin, the experiencer. When you say experiencer, you have to trace back. As on date, the entire thing will appear to our eyes as impractical. True religion will always appear impractical. Why? Because it is mysterious. Because we can't understand how that is going to be. Because the self is the subject which experiences all these things. So, using the equipments, we can never reach to the subject. This is the inquiry in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There's an Upanishad called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where there's a conversation happens between husband and wife. People should read it. We had husband and wives like that also in this country. Now, if husband and wife talk means conclusion is what, sir? Only two options are there. Either abruptly stop or get into arguments and fight. There, wife is asking the clarification to husband. Maitreyi is asking question to Yajnavalkya, husband. Ideal couple. Perfect example of a couple. Yajnavalkya, Maitreyi. Her question is the same thing. He says, you are talking about Atman, Brahman, self, consciousness, pure consciousness, God principle, God realization, self-realization. You are using all these words, man. But my question is, you are saying all this stands beyond intellect. Beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, exists your self, is what you are saying. But my problem is, how to experience that Brahman? Because it is the equipment with which I can experience anything. Now, you are saying religion means you are dissolving the equipment itself. After the equipments were dissolved, how can I experience Brahman? With what I can experience Brahman is what her question is. That's what the Upanishad is. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad explains to you. Now, that's the gist he is giving here. This entire portion is a gist of that Brihadaranyaka Upanishad conversation, where he explains this process, how it traces back, how it goes step by step by step, it goes, and finally it dissolves. This is the uniqueness of a human being. That's why a human being is endowed with this Sukshma Buddhi, called subtle intellect. It is not available for other beings. Only human has this capacity to think subtle. It's a subtle thought process. Employing the subtle intellect, you have to make that impractical process a practical one. It will appear as impractical for us, as on date. When we discuss something beyond body, mind, intellect, it will not appear practical for us. It should appear impractical. If it appears practical to your eyes, means you are blinded. You are not thinking at all. There's another group of people. They say, yeah, it's very, very practical. Vedanta is very practical. The fellow says, religion is very practical when a person says, that shows he has never attempted. It's like saying mathematics is very practical. That means the fellow has never studied mathematics. Same time, when you become a great mathematician, then you understand. Ramanujam also will say mathematics is very practical. Right? That doesn't mean this fellow is equal to Ramanujam, please. No. At the highest level, religion is pretty practical. But currently, from your standpoint of view, is there anything practical you can think in religion? He says it is not possible for you. Why? That's why it is called mysterious. Mysterious means you cannot understand how it is happening. Because you can know, you can experience in the world only using these three equipments: body, mind, intellect. You can transact only with these three. In religion, to experience realization, self-realization means you are experiencing Brahman. With what you are going to experience Brahman? You can't use your body, you can't use your mind, you can't use your intellect. All three are incapable of experiencing Brahman. You have to transcend. You have to dissolve this body, mind, and intellect for you to experience Brahman. But the problem is, you can't understand that. Then with what I will experience Brahman? To which they give an answer: Brahman experiences Brahman. Oh, correct. Analysis not over. Okay. So, religion means Ishwaran. This limited individual will practice certain disciplines, certain techniques, something he does, whatever you call it. Right? He practices whatever been recommended, he follows those things, and then finally one day he is going to reach Brahman. So, today I am an individual, I practice religion, I will become Brahman. Correct? No, says Vedanta. You are Brahman today. You say what? That is what we mean. Suppose if we say, yeah, today you are an individual, you practice religion, religious disciplines, do whatever I am saying, then you will become Brahman. Very logical that is. But that is not what they say. What they say is, you are Brahman today. It's not that you are going to become Brahman. But then the fellow says, if I am already Brahman, then why should I put in effort? There's no necessity to put in any effort. But at the same time, do you understand that you are Brahman? No. So all that I have to do is what? Just understand that I am Brahman. That's all. No. You'll say what? That's all. But can you do that? That is what I meant by it will appear impractical. You see that? Now, practical in the sense of not that. Can you live it? When you say practice, can you do it? That's called a practice. Now, how can you practice? That's why he says religion is a mysterious process. That's all. The entire theme of the chapter is that one phrase, that one statement. Then everything is only explanation of it. Yourself is the subject. It's not an object of experience. That is why you find the definitions given by these people, the various spiritual masters who have experienced that state of realization, have explained to us what is that state. And none of that we can understand. Prima facie, it will appear very logical. Like one master explains, the state of realization is where the observer is observed. Okay. Logically, is it possible? The observer can never become observed. Because then who is observing that observed? There has to be an observer. No, observing the observed. So one step back you have to go. Then what happens then? Then there has to be an observer who is observing the observed. So this observer is observed by that observer. Now, who is the real observer now? Don't ask me to repeat that. You get into that vicious cycle, here. You not know where to begin, where to end. This is what is meant by mysterious process. You can't understand. But when you read it first time, it will appear as though, put it across very clearly. Like there's another master who gives another way of explaining. What is, Buddha explains that. He says, what is samsara? What is the nirvana? He says, samsara is what's a world. Nirvana is realization. What is that difference? He says, samsara has no beginning, but has an end. Nirvana has a beginning, no end. Right? When you hear first time, it looks what? Beautiful explanation. Yeah, correct, no. See, samsara has no beginning. Who is my father's 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 first father? We don't know when it was begun. When it all started? Nobody knows. Right? Then, but he says what? Samsara can be ended. You can end it. With what? Follow whatever I'm saying. Practice religion. You will, whatever that is. Whatever the practices may be given by each master in one way. One master will say do this, another master will say do that, another master will say do this. Each religion, each one will say one thing. We don't care about what they say. But essentially what they are saying is do something, you will reach there. What will happen, sir? It will get ended. Then what is nirvana? Has a beginning but no end. But logically, when you apply, if there is a beginning for something, there has to end, no. How can something will have a beginning but no end? How can something exist without a beginning? Samsari says, only that which has a beginning can be ended. That which is beginningless can never be ending. So samsara is what? Perennially existing. Parallelly, realization also existing. But then the problem is true infinity cannot exist parallelly. That is also not possible. Then what is this? That's why little you start probing into Vedanta, more confusion only you will get. Clarity will not come. So long as you are not probing into things, it will appear very sequential, very logical, and all those things. He says, no, remember, please try to understand. Religion is a mysterious process. But it appears like that to our eyes. That's why? Because of your involvement with the equipments. Because of your association with the equipments. It appears like that. For example, primary teaching we give in Vedanta, first class, you remember, we say every human being is a combination of spirit and matter. Spirit component is called as self, pure consciousness, God principle, life principle, Atman, Brahman, etc. It's all same. Then you have a matter. Matter is made up of body, mind, intellect. Gross matter, subtle matter. Gross matter is the body, subtle matter is this mind and intellect. Very logical. This body, mind, and intellect are changing constantly, whereas the spirit component doesn't change. Okay, super. Now what? Now comes the problem. Using the changing equipment, how can you reach to change this? How is that possible? So therefore, we understand, we look at it from very many angles. In this text, Yoga Vasishta. Vasishta is another book, very popular one. It's not studied by many. It's a voluminous one, huge book that is. In Yoga Vasishta, he narrates a story of 3 unborn children. Very big story that is. You should read that beautiful story it goes. Where he starts describing the story. Brahma, there was a city which never existed. In that city was a couple who never got married. And this lady who never got pregnant delivered 3 children, 2 of whom were never born. The third one never entered the womb. And he goes on. And you read that story, as I'm saying, each one of you would have visualized the city. Isn't it? You would have visualized the city, and then you visualize a couple, and then you say they are not, then they are not, then they are not. That's what he says. You see, that's what happens in life. How we are fantastically caught up in this is it is not there, but still it appears to be existing there for us. That's why we pursue. The equipments don't exist actually. But the problem is we just pursue it more and more and more. Why is it? This pleasure we do experience something through the pursuit of this body, mind, and intellect. The pleasures are there from the body, from mind, from intellect. There is an intellectual pleasure, there is an emotional pleasure, there is a physical pleasure. We do experience it. But what we fail to recognize is this. Now, think carefully, is what Vedanta says. It says, go a little more. Pay a little more attention to things. When you are pursuing the world, why you are doing it constantly? Because of your attachment to the equipments. The attachment to the equipments makes you forget the very goal of religion. Today, we believe what is the purpose for which you have taken birth as whatever you are. Today, what is the purpose? You are born as a human, essentially. For what you have taken birth as a human, you have forgotten completely. Why? Is because of your attachment to the equipments, this body, mind, and intellect, and its transactions, and the experiences that you derive from that. You are lost in this completely. Because of that, you have forgotten for what you have come here, from where it is. Now the goal, the role of religion is to remind you of that goal and motivate you to pursue it. This is the essential role of religion. And since you have forgotten the very purpose for which you have come, when they remind you of that very purpose, most of us will get irritated with it. That is why a guru is never appreciated when he is there. A dead master is always worshipped by many than when he was alive. See? Why? Convenient. A live master is a problem, is a pain. But a dead master is a puppet in our hands. We can twist and turn whatever way we want. You see, He is available because he is not there. So I can attribute anything. You see, I can say anything. Buddha came yesterday night. He told me to tell you people this. Now you can't verify. You can't go back and check with Buddha. Hey, did you go and tell him? He's not there. You see, as this happened actually, he's not available for that. So why is it so, sir? Because you are so lost in this. The role of religion is to remind you. First thing the religion does is it reminds you, hey man, you have lost yourself. That's why we think, what is that I have lost? The Upanishadic masters cry out, Mahati Vinashti, they say. Supremely great loss. Say. Nashti means loss. Vinashti means superlative loss. For that they add that Mahati. Mahati Vinashti. Supremost of supremost losses. What? Having taken birth as a human and not pursuing the goal of life. Culmination of life. Your life should be culminating. The purpose of the river is to get back to the ocean. It runs, it runs, it runs. For what? It is running only to get back to the ocean. In the process, incidentally, it will benefit people. The benefit is not by the river. The benefit is by the people who are there. They go to the river and take the benefit of it. That's about it. But the river is not running to the benefit of the people around. Not for vegetation, not for the plants, not for the animals to passivate them, not for cultivation, not for irrigation, not for those things it is running. River is running independently towards the ocean. Byproduct of that is vegetations, animals, humans, culture, everything. But the river is not interested in any one of us. Similarly, you can go through very many transactions using the body, using the mind, using the intellect. Religion is not against it. Religion doesn't say you should not do all those things. Let it happen, but it should not be happening at the cost of you moving towards the goal, the culmination point. It should finally culminate. The test of your life is at the end of your life, what have you done? Yes, you have lived for 60, 70 years, assuming. Did you achieve that? What did you do? How many people have been benefited by your life? Yes, your life should be a benediction, benefaction to people around you. Correct. But then you should never lose sight of the benediction that you have to bestow on yourself. You have to go and merge in the ocean. The role of religion is to remind you that. Instead of this, where are we going, sir? Our whole life is only towards acquisition, enjoyment. Acquisition, enjoyment. And that's what he is giving in this poem, the pineapple and the bee. You see this, see the quote. The poem.
The pineapple and the bee. The pineapples in triple row were basking hot and all in blow. A bee of most discerning taste perceived the fragrance as he passed. On eager wing the spoiler came and searched for crannies in the frame. urged his attempt every side, to every pain his trunk applied, but still in vain the frame was tight and only pervious to the light. Thus, having wasted half the day, he trimmed his flight another way. Methinks I said, in thee I find the sin and madness of mankind. To joys forbidden man aspires, consumes his soul with vain desires. Folly, the spring of his pursuit, and disappointment, all the fruit. While Cynthia ogles as she passes, the nymph between two chariot glasses, she is the pineapple, and he the silly unsuccessful bee. The maid who views with pensive air the show glass fraught with glittering ware, sees watches, bracelets, rings, and lockets, but sighs at thought of empty pockets. Like thine, her appetite is keen, but the cruel glass between. Our dear delights are often such, exposed to view but not to touch. The sight our foolish heart inflames. We long for pineapples in frames. With hopeless wish, one looks and lingers, one
With hopeless wish, one looks and lingers. One breaks the glass and cuts his finger. Okay. This is all we are doing in life. What we do is only this. We long for pineapples and frames, it says. But they whom truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from the wheat. This is all life is. A fascinating point. The pineapples are there. They're prepared by somebody, not by this fellow, the bee. And bee is going somewhere. Right? He is moving in one direction. He's flying. But as he is flying, in between, he suddenly got the smell. Yes. Nice smell. When you bake pineapple, the whole street will know. The smell is fascinating. Fragrance is very attractive. He started moving towards. And what is interesting is he could see that a fellow who has baked the pineapple has kept it in the glass. He could see it. But it's a clean glass, so it's seen, but you can't reach. And what the fellow tries from this side, from that side, from this side to that side, to this side, to that side, half a day he tries. And then he said, he trimmed his flight in another way. Another way in the sense what? This is what interesting is. Now, religion, you don't turn to spiritual religion because of frustrations in life. Not because of worries and anxieties and problems of life. I tried and tried and tried, I failed. Therefore, I turned to religion. Of course, there are few people who have, turned and reached out. But remember, that's not the method. It is exactly like after you get the first heart attack, you start exercising. To start exercising, you don't have to go through the surgery first. You don't have to. There's no necessity. After spending 7-8 lakhs of rupees, and then you say, okay, from tomorrow I'll exercise. There's no need for you to go through that, is what Vedanta says. That's what religion says. There's no necessity. But most of us believe you have to turn to religion means only when you are in trouble. Don't be like this stupid lady, Kunti. in Mahabharata, after the war, everybody is gone, and then, Yudhishthira was crowned. After crowning, Krishna stays in their place for a period of time. When they say it was about 36 years, he stays to separate the situation, to help them. So he is not going back to Dwarka straight away. He stays there. And then one day he decides, okay, now it's time for me to part, so I will go to Dwarka. I have to see them off. See them off in the sense, finish them off. Because he goes to Dwarka only for that purpose. So when he is leaving, taking leave of this Kaurava, this Pandavas, he is distributing boons to people. He says, whatever boon you want, you take from me. And each one comes and they are asking boon. And this Kunti comes. He says, you are my aunt. What is the boon that you want? She says, please give me more trouble. Why? Because only then I'll think of you. If I am good, what I'll do? I'll forget you completely. She is a perfect picture of all of us. Now, many people think Arjuna is an example of human. No. Kunti is the right example of human beings. Right sample of all of us is Kunti. But only when you are in trouble, you think of God. See, that's not the way to go about things. You don't think of fire insurance when your house is in fire. See, you have to think of insurance when you are healthy. Not after you get a problem, you go for fire insurance. Can't say, I want to insure my factory. I want to fill the form. The fellow asks, where is the factory? Fire is burning there now. No insurance company will accept this. Same way. You don't turn to spiritual like that. Then when do you turn spiritual? When your life is going more or less okay. See, you should not be having a big problem, nor you should have. That is what we referred in the last class. How do you build wisdom, sir? The process of gaining wisdom. First requirement is the milk should be in a lukewarm condition. More or less okay. Not too cold, not too hot. The right timing is when your life is more or less okay. But the problem is when your life is more or less okay, what do? Is you run behind the equipments and whatever the experiences that you get from those things. You're lost in that pursuit completely. See, that is what Vedanta says. That's what William Cooper says. The things I said in thee I find, the sin and madness of mankind. It's a sin and it is a madness. Stupid. It's not intelligence. It's not smartness. Why? Because we long for pineapples and grapes. What is that you are seeking in life is not for you. You are cut out to live as a human being, not for the pleasures of the equipments. You have taken this embodiment only to get back to the self. Instead of going in that direction, you start attempting to reach here. Effect is what? He says there are 3 types of fellows. With hopeless wish, one looks and lingers. One breaks the glass and cuts his finger. One set of human beings, what they do, who we call as tamasic. I'll explain that in the next class. Okay, tomorrow, day after the event. Tamasic. Tamasic fellow is one who keeps looking. All this is there. A fellow sees, we go for window shopping. That's called tamas. Window shopping is what? You go and look all those things. Like I was saying, this fellow asked for ice cream. I said, we should try this ice cream, man. I wanted to have ice cream. Okay, let's go. We went to one shop. They give sample. When you go there, they give sample. I said, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this. 7 items I asked. It's as good as having, 1 scoop of ice cream. I said, thank you, but this is not the flavor I want. Don't you have chili? I asked, green chili ice cream, don't you have? Yeah. Because I saw once, there is a, one fellow had this natural wedding. Yeah. Natural. They had, green chili ice cream. Very tasty. Don't you have that? And come back. That's all problem solved. Or you go to this Marks and Spencer. What do you do? Put on everything and take a picture and post it on Facebook. That's all. Problem solved. Why do you have to buy? There's no necessity to buy. Put on and go. Now, after this Corona, they said no. That also. No trial. No trial allowed now. Why do you have to do? Go to Decathlon, go around, take a cycle and go 4 rounds. You don't have to buy a bicycle for that. Just go there and take 4 rounds and come back. Problem solved. You enjoy it. But then what? I can't buy. I can't have it, you see. It's not mine. So you go there and see, and you keep on getting frustrated that you are not able to. Then what happens is your frustration grows beyond a point, your desires mount. When your desires mount, you break the glass and cut his fingers. Means you break the principles. You break the law. You break the eternal law. Also, you break the laws of the land and the social law. You break the eternal law, you break the ethical law, and you break the social law also. You break all 3 laws and cut his finger. And you suffer for that. You got to bleed. You break any one of these laws, you have to bleed. You have no option. You can't escape. Perhaps there is a chance of escaping from the social law. There are possible. You see, we have seen these movies, Ocean's 11. Escape, correct. But then in Ocean 12, what happens? Escape. Ocean's 13, what happens? Ocean's 14, they had to make. That's all. But you can never escape. Somewhere down the line, you will bleed. There's another group of people who get mounted by the desire, rush into life, break. That's called a rajasic person. They rush to get success and get burnt out. By 35, 40, the fellow says, I want to retire. I can't live life like this. Grab as much as possible, which means during that 15 years of his life, he has to earn as much as possible for him to live rest of his life. How do you think that fellow would have earned that much money in 15 years? Yes. After that, 45, I'm going to retire. That fellow decides in 30. If he decides that in 30, in 15 years, he has to earn money for him to live for that 15 years, plus live for another 30 years without earning a rupee, which means how much he has to earn within that 15 years, and how he can earn 15 years of effort. He will earn enough for him to live for another 30 years. Not 30, which means 30 plus 15. 45 years he has to live. That is called breaking the glass, cutting. You don't mean he is going to be doing illegal things. That's not what is meant there. That's what I said. Depending upon the desires. If your desire mounts too much, you can even go to the extent of breaking the social law also. But definitely, he will break the eternal law, he will break the ethical law. These 2 laws he has to break. There's no choice. That is Rajasic life. What is it? Stress and strain, insecurity, frustrations, agitations, depression, dejection. All this is because of what? Rajas. So there is a tamasic group, there is a Rajasic group. Then he says, there is a third group. But they whom truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from a weed. The truth and wisdom should be leading your life. What is the truth leading your life? What is the wisdom that is to be leading your life? To give you, educate you on the truth and provide you the wisdom to pursue the truth is what the role of religion is. I'm only explaining what is the role of religion. That's what William Cooper says that. He says, those who have that. Now, who will be having that exposure? Who will pursue it? Don't wait for these things, please. Don't become like this. Don't become like Kunti. Hey, I have to suffer in life so that I will think of all these things. There's no necessity. That's not the right way to go about it. There is a better way of doing it. There is a positive way of doing it. You don't have to pursue religion negatively. Pursue religion in the positive sense of the term. Reach to it. But then when you're attempting it, don't think that you are going to get it in a logical sense. There will not be, your common sense logic will not be applicable here at all. It's a very different process. It's a very different equation here when it comes to, you have to reject the pursuits that you are having, running behind the pleasures of the world. Move that, come here. But it's not possible for us to believe. Actually, he gives an example of the light, this reflection. The light, original light and the reflected light. Sun is what is giving the light. The moon doesn't give light. There is no light in the moon. But for all of us, we do experience light coming from the moon. So obviously we will think what? The one who has not studied science, that, ignorant person, if he comes along with you and if you were to tell him in that moonlight, you are having the dinner in your lawn, as you are doing that barbecue, as you are having that, you tell him, you see this moon? Yes. There's no light there. He thinks you are an idiot. He will go back saying what? I thought this fellow went to Bangalore and studied science and all that. I have understood. Nothing the fellow understood. Why? He is showing the moon to me and pointing that to me. He is also seeing the light coming. I'm also seeing the light coming from moon. And this guy says there is no light in the moon. Are you mad? There is no pleasure from the world. Anything that is changing cannot give you lasting happiness, pleasure. It will give only sorrow. Your body is changing, your mind is changing, your intellect is changing, and you are pursuing with this changing equipments a permanent happiness. How on earth it is possible for you to achieve it? How can you experience it? How can you get it? Is it ever possible? Because it is constantly changing. It is changing. But for all of us, changing in a positive sense is okay. No, we'll say. In the positive sense means what? You are a clerk, you have become a manager, the manager become a general manager. This change, isn't this change is okay in life? That's where you have to go back to that moon example. To your eyes, it is impossible for me to convince you changing from a clerk position to a manager to a general manager to vice president is no happiness. There's no pleasure there. If I say that, will you believe? It's impossible for you to believe it. It's no way you can believe it. Sir, there is what joy you get. Imagine you go down the street and people recognize you Unknown people recognize you and say, oh, they say, you are Ishwaran. Says, yes, yes, I've seen your lecture. I have attended your lectures. And they say, they get a kick out of it. Unknown person. And then I look at my wife and my daughter. See how big I am. Yeah. There's only 2-3 people, strangers, when it happens once in 10 years. So far in this 20 years, never it has happened. Right? I'm just giving an example. Okay. Now I genuinely believe what says I remember I had a friend in college. This fellow had this, he used to play cricket to clubs and college and all that. He used to play. Very good cricketer. Whenever this Hindu paper had this, I don't know whether they are doing it now. They used to do it. Whenever in any game, when a batsman were to score more than 50, their name will appear. The sports column. So they put his name and give the score that he has done. More than 50 means, if it is. Doesn't matter which game and all those things. They just put. Whenever that comes, this guy will come and ask, in the college, hey, paper yeah, will come and ask. We know for sure. If he comes and asks, did you read the paper? That means his name has come. Because the previous day, that match the fellow must have scored. But yeah, there. We have to say yes. If we say no, we lose. If we say yes, we get one tea and masala in the canteen. He will, give a party. This one, get a kick. Imagine with his photograph if it were to appear. Right? He genuinely feels what? Imagine it comes in the front page. Imagine that comes in all the newspapers. He genuinely feels what? There is happiness. My God, what things, man. Everywhere people respect me. Everyone is affectionate towards me. Whatever I contact, there is pleasure, there is joy, there is fulfillment, there is satisfaction. He genuinely feels. Keep increasing, keep increasing, keep increasing, keep increasing. If that is the case, then why the celebrities sue people for taking photographs? You know that? The celebrities, they sue papers for taking their big pictures. Not a controversial and all that. They come to the party and they take a picture. That's all it is. How dare you can use my picture? They sue them for it. You and me will be wondering, my God, such a great pleasure for us. If your photo were to be there in those magazines, you get a joy out of it. Same pictures gives them pain. Wealth. There's a syndrome, they say, wealth fatigue syndrome. The psychologists say, there's a thing called wealth fatigue syndrome. You get fed up with wealth. You get bugged with wealth. And then what you do? Start distributing. You don't know what else to do with it. Now, fed up with wealth, you can't understand right now. Why? Illiteracy. You think something wrong with those people. You see, you genuinely feel something wrong with them. What's wrong with these guys? Why are they like that? And you think they are very charitable. He's not charitable. He's just cleaning his cupboard. That's all. Like you clean your cupboard, he is cleaning his cupboard. Your cupboard has got only 1,000 rupees. His cupboard has got 10,000 crores. That's about it. Doesn't make any difference. But remember, incidentally, people will get the benefit. I'm not worried about, I'm discussing about the river. I'm not discussing about vegetations, the animals and the humans have put up a city around it and all that. That's not my point. The point is what's happening to the river, what is happening to you. You genuinely feel that. Now, Vedanta says, when you are bound Vedanta says, get to liberation. You are bound by what? The persecutions of the world, the perceptions and emotions, the thoughts. You are affected by that. Now, Vedanta explains that. How can there be affectation when these two are not possible? How can you get affected? You cannot get affected, actually speaking, because you are independent of this. But still, you do get affected. Why? Any change. But the problem is, you don't see the change happening because of your attachment to the equipments. You don't see that change is what is causing the sorrow. You don't see that. Why you are not able to see it is because of your attachment. Then the question comes is this. I leave you with a question. Think about it. I'll explain in the next class. Right? Sir, if change is what is sorrow, any change? Yes, any change. Then what about evolution? You're evolving. Isn't it evolution also change? Then isn't it evolution also should result in sorrow? How do you reconcile? Change will result in sorrow. There is no conditions applied there. Change is equal to sorrow. If that is the case, isn't it evolution is also a change? If evolution is also change, then evolution also should result in sorrow only. No? So you are only asking me to move from one sorrow to another sorrow. That's all. Pursue the world, sorrow. Pursue Brahman, sorrow. What difference does it make, man? It is better to go for the known sorrow than an unknown sorrow. Okay, many of us will take a stand. No, a known devil is better than unknown angel. Right? So, then what are we asking? Now go back to the first statement. Essentially, religion is what? A mysterious process. It's a mysterious process. But this change will not cause sorrow. Right? It's like saying, don't go anywhere else. Come to me. Now I will solve all your problems. This is exactly what we are saying. The religion says, hey, don't go to the world. World will give you sorrow. Come to me. I will give you pleasure. This is marketing technique. You're only marketing. That's about it. You're not teaching. Now, in teaching, we can't do all those things. Vedanta is a special culture these days. You see, it is a special culture. It's a special perception. It's a unique thing in Vedanta, in religion. There's no difference, remember. There's no difference between religion, philosophy, spirituality, all same thing only. Your wrong notions, you have classified them as different things. That is only your ignorance of it. Remember, exactly like dogs have no distinction among themselves. It is you who have classified them. This is Doberman. This is Labrador. This is a pug. The pug doesn't know that I am a pug. He is a Labrador. There's no difference. I am a street dog. You leave the dog, the street dog, and this highly rated dog's mate. There's no problem for them. As far as they are concerned, you are a dog, I am a dog. Dog, dog. That's all their equation is. It's the same thing for them. You created for your convenience. That's why certain dogs were rated, 60,000 rupees, 70,000 rupees. There is one dog, Saint. It's the most expensive one. I say saints are very expensive. Rich people, All saints are very rich. Why? Peculiar here. So remember, it's a mysterious process and a special culture. That's all. If you can remember these 2 points, rest of it you can build it up. Rest are all same thing. Essentially, what is religion? A mysterious process through which the mind and intellect traces back the origin, and in the tracing back process, it dissolves itself, dies. What is left out is the pure self. And if this is this, then how are we to justify this? Evolution is also changing. No, I'm evolving. I'm getting better. If I'm evolving, if I'm getting a better person, is that not a change? Yes, it is a change because you are not like what you were earlier. If that is the case, then how is it that here there is no sorrow? How is it that here there is no affectation? There is affectation. That change is affectation. This change is a non-affectation. Why? We'll see in the next class.